All right, I'm going to quickly show you a few little tips so that you can handle your paint more effectively. You have been given some flat edge bristle brushes in sizes 10, 8, 6 and 2. Later on we're going to use a filbert brush. So you'll have these brushes to take home. Now when you get the brushes, which are also now coated with a little dusting of charcoal from me, you're going to notice that they're quite stiff. So when they arrive, they've had glue. So you can go like that, don't breathe it in, just put it down by your side and do it. And now it's suddenly gone soft and out to its full square shape. If you want to have a feel of your brushes, do it. And then you can also just put them in the water and give them a good swizzle. Now the only trouble with putting your brush in the water, this is what most people do, they go, yep, I'm ready to paint. Now, anybody can perceive a problem with that?
Yeah, lots of water.
Running down the handle of the brush. So what I do is I like to have a piece of paper towel and I tap the brush. That doesn't mean I dig the bristles in. This is really important you look at this. I don't dig the bristles in like this and try and dry it like that. What I do is I dry it like this. This is called a ferrule. I rest the metal part, the ferrule, and then the excess squeezes off. That leaves me with a brush when I test on the back of my hand that's wet, but it's not dripping, okay? So, I'm going to do this exercise actually with the number 8. So do the same thing. Give it the old massage.
The quality of brush is important.
Yeah, it is. It is. These are inexpensive brushes. To be honest, I became famous with my paintings using these shitty little brushes, but it was great because if I had to dash out the door to pick up the kids who were a half an hour drive away in another country town to get a carer, so that I could get a bit of painting done. What happened was, if I left them out, it was no big deal. It was not like spoiling a $40 brush or something like that. So the other thing is that after a few paintings, I could change them over and refresh them, no problem. Sometimes they just got a bit shitty, you know, after a little while.
These wouldn't wear out so much on the canvas either, would they?
Yeah, so what I've done now is I've supplemented with a few other brushes. When we go up bigger, we use some other tools and brushes and things. And when I'm doing all of my paintings, I definitely use filberts, which I'm going to introduce you to this afternoon. So let's just check out the anatomy of the brush. Okay, so very briefly, this is the brush. There's the metal, there's the handle. This is clamped on and crimped, and it has glue underneath it. So if you leave these brushes in the water over the night, that's going to soften. The other thing that will happen is that these wooden fibers are going to expand, pushing the ferrule out, making it stretch. But when it dries, the wood will shrink back, but the ferrule won't, and then it'll get very wobbly. So if you're wondering why your brush is wobbly, either they didn't glue it on, let's blame it on somebody else, or you left it in the water for too long, and it's just shrunk back. So, you know, you can try and wedge it on or whatever, but you probably have overstretched it. But, you know, they're only a few dollars each. It's not the end of the world. We try and look after our brushes. A fantastic thing to clean your brushes with is a product called the Incredible Brush Cleaner.
Sounds incredible.
No, it is. It is incredible because you can have a brush that's got rigor mortis that you left it out, you had too much paint on it. The only thing is that these things do molt a bit. Actually, this one isn't molting. So just if you get a hair that falls out into your painting, get rid of it. But you leave them in a solution just for a few hours even. And you don't even have to put a lot in, just with a bit of water at the bottom, and then you take them out and you wash them under the tap. You don't have to throw out that mixture. You can keep it for months and keep using it. So don't feel that you're going to move through your product too quickly if you do that. Okay, so this is the ferrule, okay, the metal bit. This is the handle. I think you know that bit. So if you're out to dinner with somebody who's driving you nutty, you can say, and they're pretending to be an expert on painting and you know they've never done anything before. You can say, oh, well, I was late. I was so busy cleaning my ferrules. And that should throw a spanner in their bullshit. And if you want a double F-bomb, you can say, I was very busy cleaning the ferrules on my filberts. Okay, so I'm going to divide the brush bristles into 3. So this is a flat edge bristle brush. Okay, so stage one here is, this is the tip or the foot. This is the belly, and this is the heel. Now, if I tried to draw that, it would be very strange because you'd have like some toes and a heel and then a fat belly. The belly is the storage, okay? It's where the paint stores. The paint, just by a natural force, once you put it on there, even if I hold the brush vertical, it starts to suck up into here. There's a name for it, always forget it, always have to refer to Yannicka and say, Yannicka, what was that word again? But I can never remember it. Anyway, the heel, if a lot of paint is up here and it's gluggy, all up here and spilling onto here, I know that you kind of have lost control and you're probably painting like this and putting a lot of pressure on, you're not picking it up sensitively off the plate. So we tend to work mostly off, the paint normally comes up about halfway-ish or no further than the belly area. And, you get a bit of seepage into here and that's fine. So this is going to come into play as I show you how to do these things. So I'm going to call this first gear, which is a light touch. Second gear is the belly, which is a little bit firmer pressure. And when if you're working off the tip, it's like that. That's gear one. If you're pushing more, you're pushing the paint out of the brush. More pressure, you're pushing the paint out. And if you're really pushing right down here into the heel, you're getting everything out of the brush onto the canvas. So that's gear 3, okay? That's just something I've made up, all right? It's part of a paintbrush license. This is the start of my paintbrush license. And when you come into my masterclass programs, when I see you serious, I give you all the other secrets as well. All right, so that's your brush. Now, what we're going to do is taking the number 8, which you've dampened up nicely. I've got the paint on my wet palette. I've got the black, I've got white. You might have either a burnt umber or a raw umber and white if you're doing something with a lot of deep pinks or reds. There is a reason for that. A lot of reds and pinks are translucent, so the black will really make it go very dark. For everybody else, you don't need to worry because there's a lot of opaque colors with what you're doing. And it's nice to have the contrast and the black and white on your underpainting. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to pick up the paint. First of all, I want you to just go in and pick up, not so much the medium, just the paint on both sides. I'm juicing it up both sides of the brush. Can you see that? Yes? Mm-hmm. You see how the paint's already of its own volition traveling up the brush. I haven't put it there. It's starting to seep up. Even if I hold the brush like that, it's going to do it. That's just what happens. Now, what I want you to do, after you've juiced it up like that, so it's got a bit of paint on it, we're not going to go back in to dip into the black to make a whole range of tones. This is how it's going to work. I'm going to work off the tip first, and I'm going to make like a postage size stamp square. Okay, I've got a good black. I've run it both ways. I'm happy with that. Now, I've still got all that black in the brush. I'm just going to pick up on the tip a little bit of white. Not too much. It's probably quite a lot that I've done, actually. Yes. So I'm going to have to squeeze a bit of the black out if I want to get a charcoal grey, a bit more black. See how I'm using the black on the paint like a tube of paint? I'm squeezing it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And I've got a dark grey. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit more, whisker more, like not much. And I'm going to work off the tip and I'm going to do a lighter grey again. Might need a little bit more white. Okay, so you can see I've still got a pure black in the brush, but it's further up and I've got grey. So, you can imagine that this could translate really well with colours. I could be working with a red, but picking up some gold ochre on the tip. Working with the gold ochre, pushing a bit harder with the brush, that red is coming out and blending and making beautiful flame tones. Very efficient way to work. It soon becomes natural. Maybe not on your first painting, but after a while, you start to become really fluid with how you work. So what I'm doing is building awareness today, all right? Baby steps. Don't expect you to have it all together today. Okay, so I'm getting lighter and I've still got a pure black. Does that seem weird to you?
Mm-hmm. So you're not picking up any of this liquidy
Not at the moment, that's for the next bit,
Yeah.
not so much for this. Okay, so there's my almost white, and look, I can probably get a pure white out of this too. Let's have a look.
You don't
Look,
have to
I mean,
wash
now
it.
it's really white, and I've still got all that black on the brush. It's because I'm using the tip of the
Yeah.
brush and I'm not applying pressure. Now, I'm going to show you something else. Here is where I'm going to just demonstrate gear 1, 2, and 3. So the tip, the belly, and the heel. We'll see how much paint can be contained in the brush. So I've finished my exercise. I've got a range of tones. This is what we're going to be working with on our underpainting. So good practice. We're always picking up the paint, just to emphasize that, always from the edge so we don't pollute the other reservoir of paint. We don't get it dirty. We're always working off the edge. Okay, so I'm working off the tip now, and I'm just getting rid of what's on the tip. I'm kind of running out. Now I'm going to put a bit more pressure on down to the middle. Quite a bit of paint. And now I'm going to work out to the heel, and I've got a pure black left in the brush. So 3 tones in the brush. How good's that? And all that paint. I just want you to have an awareness of this, and that's why we're doing it this way. What we can do. Let's go, your turn.
Okay. Did you get the coffee? You're gonna get, no? Okay, we'll do that.